Okay, starting off at number 10, like we always do, we have the Megatherium. This animal is also known as the giant ground sloth, and they were one of the largest terrestrial animals that ever lived on this planet. They measured in at about 20 feet in length, but they were a slow-moving herbivore, so animals didn't really fear this creature. Early humans in South America hunted this massive creature, and they hunted it to its extinction 10,000 years ago. Or did they? In the deep jungle of South America, there are so many tales about terrifying creatures who stands at 10 feet tall. They have enormous backward-facing claws and thick brown fur. All of these characteristics are consistent with the Megatherium's description, so maybe these aren't just stories. Next up, number 9, we have the mastodon. These hairy creatures are prehistoric relatives of the modern elephant. Mastodons have tusks, flappy ears, and a long nose, which is very similar to the elephant. Mastodons appeared on Earth about 27 million to about 30 million years ago, primarily in North and Central America. They typically stayed in the woodlands areas or sometimes around valleys and swamps. They apparently went extinct about 10,000 years ago, and most of the theories say that they went extinct because a lot of the scientists believe that the Earth warmed up too quickly from the Ice Age for the mastodon to adapt to, or that humans hunted them to extinction. So although they went extinct so long ago, a man named David Ingram described seeing creatures twice the size of a horse, hairy, and in the shape of an elephant. He accurately described what a mastodon would look like, and he said he saw them while he was traveling to the United States. There are even other people claiming to have spotted these creatures in modern times. Next up, number 8, we have the Japanese wolf. Japan used to have 2 species of wolf that used to live on islands. Biologists consider the Japanese wolf to be extinct. However, there are a ton of rumors circulating of people seeing them in the wild regions of Japan. These 2 wolf species became extinct in the late 1800s and the early 1900s due to rabies, loss of habitat, and hunting by humans. Despite their extinction, a Japanese wolf was sighted in 1910, and then in the 1930s, and then again in the 1950s. If that wasn't enough to convince you that these creatures are still alive today, there have been a ton of sightings in the 1900s. Skeptics believe the humans are mistaking a hybrid wolf dog for the Japanese wolf. That's definitely a possibility, but what if the Japanese wolf was still alive today? Pouncing in at number 7, we have the Javan tiger. They are a relatively small tiger that is as tall as a Great Dane. On the island of Java in Indonesia, this was the home of the Javan tiger, but as humans occupied more and more of the island, the Javan tiger was forced to move to the uninhabitable parts of the island. They were hunted by the humans so they could make more room for farming, and unfortunately by the time the government stepped in to preserve their species, the tiger was already too far gone. However, many locals have spotted Javan tiger claw marks and footprints, and they could still be alive because they are excellent at hiding and avoiding humans. Also in 1995, a Javan forester discovered a large group of these tigers still living on the island. These sightings continued into the early 2000s, and people are still finding evidence that the species still exists today. Swimming into our number 6 spot on our list, we're talking about the Plesiosaurus. This is apparently an extinct marine reptile who lived approximately 135 years ago in the Jurassic period. They have long necks, thin bodies, wide flippers, and small heads. They have very sharp teeth and incredibly strong jaws, so they're able to feed on any fish that came in their path. Creatures matching this description have been spotted all over the world in lakes and in oceans. A lot of people believe that this animal exists, and people are just calling it the Loch Ness monster. It is actually possible that these animals survived and they're just living in the depths of the ocean where humans are unable to explore. If this Plesiosaurus still exists today, that would also explain why people have reported seeing sea dragons from around the world.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have Meraxis gigas. Just a couple of months ago, in the northern Patagonia area of Argentina, researchers uncovered a new dinosaur species that is being called Meraxis gigas. This gigantic carnivorous creature is said to have have been similar to a T-Rex in that it had quite a large head and tiny little arms. The remains of this creature were actually discovered over a period of a few years, and in the end, the name scientists chose was after one of the dragons in the Song of Ice and Fire book that inspired Game of Thrones. Clearly, the dinosaur was discovered before the scientists saw the finale. The remains of this dinosaur indicate that these guys lived to be about 45 years of age and that they weighed about 4 metric tons and lived somewhere from 90 million to 100 million years ago. In our number 9 spot today, we have Jacapil canicura. Recently in South America, scientists have found fossils of small, prickly dinosaurs that might just represent an entire lineage of dinosaurs that were previously undiscovered and unknown to science. This species is an armored dinosaur that lived during the Cretaceous era, which was the last era of the dinosaurs, about 97 to 94 million years ago. These dinosaurs were relatively small, weighing only about as much as a house cat. Imagine, instead of having a cat, having a little spiky dinosaur running around instead. These guys had a row of spikes running from their neck to their tail, and they grew to be an estimated 5 feet or 1.5 meters long, and rather than a small but mighty carnivore, these guys much preferred to chow down on the plant life in the area they lived. In our number 8 spot today, we have Embryrosaurus rathi. This discovery came over the course of 2 archaeological digs, one in 2017 and one in 2019, after which the researchers responsible were able to uncover a mostly intact skeleton, which is astonishing. The skeleton is said to have belonged to a new long-necked dinosaur. Other than the fact that the skeleton was intact, what made this discovery so remarkable is that it is the oldest dinosaur skeleton ever found in Africa, as it was found in northern Zimbabwe. This dinosaur is believed to have grown to be about 6 feet long with its tail, and it weighed somewhere from 20 to 65 pounds. It is thought that the remains that these scientists uncovered might be as old as 230 million years. In our number 7 spot today, we have the white rock spinosaurid. Recently on the Isle of Wight, researchers found bones, including a huge pelvic bone and tail vertebrae, that may belong to a newly discovered species of dinosaur, perhaps one of the largest predators ever to roam Europe. One of the leaders of the study said, quote, "Judging from some of the dimensions, it appears to represent one of the largest predatory dinosaurs ever found in Europe, maybe even the biggest yet known." He further added, quote, "It's a shame it's only from a small amount of material, but these are enough to show it was an immense creature." As of now, these remains have been nicknamed the white rock spinosaurid, named after the geological layer of Earth that it was found in. Spinosaurids, which these remains are thought to belong to, are 2-legged creatures with crocodile sort of faces. These remains would have been from a carnivorous creature that grew to be more than 32 feet in length and that lived about 125 million years ago. In our number 6 spot today, we have a feathery dinosaur. Later in 2020, a team of paleontologists announced that they had found quite an unusual new dinosaur from Brazil. This feathery dinosaur is said to have been the first of its kind to be found, and right now it is thought to have been a carnivorous creature about the size of a chicken. There is evidence, however, that different from a chicken, these guys may have had stunning, colorful feathers and mating displays that would rival today's peacocks and other birds of paradise. They are also thought to have potentially had 2 stiff, ribbon-like feathers sticking out from each of their shoulders. Right now, there's a little drama surrounding this discovery though, because although this fossil and the creature would have lived in Brazil, our modern discovery came in Germany, which poses the question, how did it get there? Apparently, there are some conflicting accounts of how this fossil was transported to Brazil, and this exportation may have been illegal. So, there was even a social media campaign to have the fossil brought back to Brazil, but the State Museum of Natural History Karlsruhe refused. So, everyone's pretty mad about that. There's some dinosaur tea for you in case anyone asks what's the latest in dinosaur drama. Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot, we have the coelacanth. Imagine discovering a creature believed to have vanished with the dinosaurs, only to find it alive and swimming beneath the waves. That's the incredible tale of the coelacanth, a prehistoric fish thought to be extinct for over 80 million years until one was caught off the South African coast in 1938. With its limb-like fins that move like our own arms and legs, and an extra lobe on its tail, the coelacanth is a living fossil that offers a window into our planet's distant past. Subsequent captures and photographs, including a new species found near Indonesia's Sulawesi Island, revealed that these mysterious fish were not only alive, but thriving in deep underwater caves. Their unexpected reappearance challenges what we know about extinction and reminds us that the ocean still holds many secrets waiting to be discovered. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Lord Howe Island stick insect. Picture stumbling upon a creature so rare it was thought extinct, surviving on a single shrub atop a remote sea stack. The Lord Howe Island stick insect, affectionately dubbed the land lobster due to its hefty size, stretching up to 12 centimeters long, was once so plentiful on Lord Howe Island that fishermen used them as bait. After invasive rats decimated their population by 1920, they were declared extinct in the 1960s. But in 2001, a daring expedition to the jagged peaks of Ball's Pyramid, a sheer volcanic spike rising from the ocean 20 kilometers away, led to an astonishing discovery. There, clinging to life under a melaleuca bush, a tiny colony of these giant insects was found and captured on camera. This incredible comeback story has ignited efforts to breed them in captivity, with hopes of reintroducing them to their original homeland. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Fernandina giant tortoise. Imagine discovering a creature thought to have vanished over a century ago, alive and plodding along in the wild. That is exactly what happened with the Fernandina Island Galapagos tortoise. First found in 1906 and then presumed extinct after that lone specimen, hope was reignited when explorers captured on camera an elderly female tortoise on remote Fernandina Island in February 2019. This remarkable find was confirmed in 2021 when genetic tests proved she belongs to the long-lost subspecies. Now, conservationists are on an exhilarating mission to find her a mate and revive the population of these magnificent giants. In our number 7 spot today, we have Wallace's giant bee. For this one, we have to picture encountering a bee so colossal it's the size of your thumb. That's Wallace's giant bee, the world's largest known bee species, once believed to be extinct. First discovered in 1858 by explorer Alfred Russel Wallace in the Indonesian wilds, this magnificent insect seemed to vanish without a trace. For decades, it was considered lost to history until 1981 when it buzzed back into the spotlight, only to disappear again. Then, in a thrilling twist, a live female was captured on camera in 2019, her enormous jaws and impressive wingspan proving she was no myth. Nesting inside termite mounds on remote Indonesian islands, this king of bees reminds us that nature's most extraordinary secrets are still out there waiting to be rediscovered. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Somali elephant shrew. What if I told you there is a tiny creature that looks like a mix between a mouse, a gazelle, and an elephant, thought to be lost to science for over 50 years? That is the Somali sengai, or elephant shrew, a pint-sized mammal with a trunk-like nose and long, spindly legs that let it dart across rocky terrains at lightning speed. Scientists believed it had vanished since 1968, but in a thrilling turn of events, an expedition in Djibouti in 2019 captured this elusive animal on camera for the very first time. To their astonishment, they found that the Somali sengai wasn't just surviving, it was thriving with no immediate threats. This incredible rediscovery has reignited curiosity and wonder, reminding us that the natural world still holds many hidden treasures waiting to be found.
Let's not in at number 10. Whoa, that guy's fast. What is that? His nose is like so long. Is this real? I don't even know what that is. I don't even know how to research this little guy. Okay, well, apparently that was the elephant shrew, last known to be seen over 50 years ago, but it was rediscovered in August of 2020. These mighty little mouse-like creatures are thriving in Africa. Pretty cool something so small was able to evade a full extinction. So before we get into number 9, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video because it really helps us out. Alright, let's see what we have in at number 9.
The tarsier is named... Whoa! Hello there, freaky. The tarsier is named after its long, impressive bone in its ankle, you perv.
Okay, whoa, what is this little thing? So the animals on this list are pretty tiny. This one is no different. The pygmy taser of the taser family of the world's smallest primates hails from the depths of Indonesia. The taser still lives, but its pygmy's cousin is said to have been extinct, until a man accidentally captured and killed one in a mousetrap in 2000. Since then, several pygmy tasers have been found and tagged in Indonesia, and it is believed that they no longer exist.
Great big, thin, membranous ears. And those sharp teeth, more like those you'd see on a bat.
Okay, wait, first of all, I thought these things were cute, but they're pretty creepy if you ask me. Apparently these guys are adept predators for being able to fit in your palm of your hand. Pretty wild, but anyone else getting like the Baby Yoda vibes from this?
Perhaps it could live many centuries.
Next up at number 8, the terror skink. Thought once to be extinct. Well, this video shows a man who found one in Caledonia in 2018. These little things were said to be the T-Rex of their time. Serious meat-eating predator reptiles. They got their name from their mouthful of sharp teeth.
So this skink is the top predator here on this island in New Caledonia. There's no doubt that this guy is the T-Rex of this island.
Number 7. Is this real life right now? What is that? There's no way that thing existed in our life. Like, what world was that real? And those sharks, to like, when they eat things, their mouths come out of their mouths, and it's just like... It's so horrifying. Here's another picture. I mean, it looks like it's real. Apparently these things went extinct many years ago, but now it has been rediscovered. This last picture right here looks so real, and it looks like it's kind of like slimy. And this one doesn't look like it was taken in the water. This one looks like it was captured, it was taken out of the water. But you can see what I'm saying about like the mouth. I'm not sure where it begins and where it ends, but is it just me, or is its teeth like exactly spaced out? Kind of creepy, sharp teeth. I'd be scared if I was like swimming and I saw one of these. Okay, so the images that we were seeing is actually the goblin shark. You guys can search it online. You guys can see so many more pictures of this. Well, it was actually said to be extinct over 125 million years ago. But like other deep sea creatures, it didn't actually disappear, it didn't go extinct. It just hid in the depths beyond human discovery, and it is said to be back and is thriving. These pictures were taken from National Geographic in 2020, so just months ago. It was actually in August. So the images you're seeing is legit. Moving right along to number 6, move on murder wasp, Wallace giant bee, or the Megachile Pluto is said to be back in action. In 2018, 2 of these bad boys were available for the highest bidder, and none other than eBay itself, the place where we're buying Pokemon cards. I just came across a Charizard, 25 grand. Should I buy it? Okay, so apparently you can buy this creature, like you can make a transaction if you have $9,000. In 2019, a single female was found in a termite nest and reopened the species as no longer being extinct. Well, here's a clip that I wanted to share with you guys. So 100% authentic and to scale. Okay. Maybe not, but could you guys imagine like that was the size of the killer bees? Like just absolutely massive.
Starting off this countdown, we have the California condor. The California condor is the largest vulture and land bird in North America. From tip to tip, its wings stretch about 10 feet. It's got a big wingspan. They also can fly as high as 15,000 feet in the air. Now these vultures used to live all throughout the southwestern US into northwestern Mexico, but during the 20th century their population started to decline due to pesticides, poaching, and loss of habitat. By 1987 there were so few left that scientists declared them extinct. During that time there were only about 27 or less in the wild. But don't worry, the US government actually helped save these animals. They created a captive breeding program and set it up in a number of zoos across the country. This program is said to be one of the most expensive conservation projects in US history. It cost about $35 million and $2 million per year to keep it up. And slowly but surely they helped increase the amount of condors. As of 2019, their population is at 118. Some of the birds have even been reintroduced into the wild. They are still at risk, but all the birds are tagged and the US are keeping a close eye on them to make sure they never get near extinction ever again. In our ninth spot today, we have the Somali elephant shrew. Now don't be fooled, this isn't an elephant, but it does have a long pointed snout like an elephant. It's as small as a mouse and kinda looks like one too, but they aren't actually a shrew. That rhymed. In fact, they are related to aardvarks, elephants, and manatees. You heard me correctly. These tiny little creatures are related to elephants and manatees. How? I don't understand nature. Anyways, the last recorded sighting of this creature was in the 1970s. After that, scientists declared the species extinct. That was until August of 2020. A team of researchers were out doing studies when they came across these tiny little creatures. From there, they decided to try and see how many elephant shrews were left in the wild. So they set up more than 1,000 traps with a tasty treat of peanut butter, oatmeal, and yeast inside. In total, they came across 12 elephant shrews of the same species. Now, thousands of these little guys are back and are no longer threatened or endangered. Moving on to number 8, we have the Bermuda petrel. This is the second rarest seabird on the planet. In fact, it was last seen on Nonsuch Island in 1620. They literally thought it was extinct for over 300 years. They went extinct because their habitat was destroyed by sea erosion and hurricanes. But then in the 1950s, they were like, surprise! No, we're here to stay, we're just playing. So in the 1950s, their nest was spotted east of Bermuda with a few birds nearby. In 1951, 36 of these birds were rediscovered, and as of 2021, their population is increasing. The government created new nesting sites for these seabirds, and as of spring 2020, there are a total of 134 breeding pairs. We went from 18 to 134. Hell yeah. But according to conservation officer Jeremy Madrios, he said, and I quote, "It's an ongoing recovery, an example for threatened species around the world in an era when encroachment on and destruction of habitats is putting more species at risk than ever before." Well spoken. In our 7th spot today, we have the horned marsupial frogs. These little guys are so freaking cute. Like, just look at them. They have like weird pointy eyeball horns. But its eye horns aren't the only thing that makes this frog pretty weird. Its eggs develop in a pouch on the female's back, and when they hatch, you got fully formed frogs instead of tadpoles. That's pretty unusual for frogs. Anyways, these frogs live in the tropical rainforest in Ecuador, but due to habitat loss from oil palm crops, timber, and mining, the frogs went extinct around 2005. They were declared extinct for 13 years until 2018 when they made a comeback. Since extinction, they now have a population of 350 with 18 new species. Moving on to number 6, we have the takahe. The takahe are flightless birds that are native to New Zealand. They honestly kind of look like peacocks without the big colorful feathers. It's because they have the same bluey greeny colorway. In the 1890s, their population began to decline due to hunting, competition for food, predators, and habitat loss. By 1898, they were declared extinct. But then, 50 years later, a small group of them were discovered high in the Murchison Mountains. As of 2019, the population is 418. It is said to be growing at a rate of 10% per year. Slowly but surely. In fact, the rediscovery of this bird inspired New Zealand's longest running endangered species program. It's been in the works for more than 70 years now, with plans to make sure that this animal or any other animal never becomes extinct again, as well as they help save endangered species.
So coming in at number 10 is the most recent sighting. During the last weekend in August, fans of Nessie went on a huge hunt for the monster. That's when the 6th so-called sighting of the Loch Ness monster this year was recorded by a woman who was baffled after seeing a curved creature in the legendary water on August 31st. Fiona Wade claimed that it was like nothing I've seen before and I can only describe as Nessie. She reported seeing something similar to which was spotted by civil servant Alistair Gray on August 26. Mr. Gray saw 3 odd and seemingly connected shapes near Invermorrison. Miss Wade said her sighting was almost identical to that seen by Mr. Gray and probably in a very similar location. I might add that I was not aware of this sighting on Saturday until returning home this evening. It initially looked like a periscope, but then 2 curved areas followed. It was moved
moving about halfway in the loch, looking roughly over to midway between Foyers and Whitebridge, she said. I've seen deer crossing before, but this was like nothing I have seen before, and I can only describe it as Nessie, as I can't think of any other logical thing it could have been. It was large enough to catch my eye and appeared to leave slight wake behind it, she added. The sighting took place at 10:45 a.m., the water was calm, and there was allegedly no nearby boat activity. The sighting, which lasted 30 to 40 seconds, has been accepted by the official Loch Ness Monster Sightings Register. Number 9. The first sighting. The earliest report of a monster in the vicinity of Loch Ness appears in the Life of St. Columba by Adaman, written in the 7th century AD. According to Adaman, writing about a century after the events described, Irish monk St. Columba was staying in the land of the Picts with his companions when he encountered local residents burying a man by the River Ness. They explained that the man was swimming in the river when he was attacked by a water beast that mauled him and dragged him underwater, despite their attempts to rescue him by boat. Columba sent a follower, Lugin Mako Min, to swim across the river. The beast approached him, but Columba made the sign of the cross and said, "Go no further, do not touch the man, go back at once." The creature stopped as if it had been pulled back with ropes and fled, and Columba's men and the Picts gave thanks for what they perceived as a miracle. Now, believers in the monster point to this story set in the River Ness rather than the loch itself as evidence for the creature's existence as early as the 6th century. Number 8. Aldi McKay. The best known article that first attracted a great deal of attention about the creature was published on May 2nd, 1933 in the Intervest Courier about a large beast or whale-like fish. The article by Alex Campbell, water bailiff for Loch Ness and part-time journalist, discussed a sighting by Aldi McKay of an enormous creature with the body of a whale rolling in the water in the loch while she and her husband John were driving on the A82 April 15, 1993. Now, the Courier in 2017 published excerpts from the Campbell article, which has been titled "Strange Spectacle in Loch Ness." The creature disported itself, rolling and plunging for fully a minute, its body resembling that of a whale, and the water cascading and churning like a simmering cauldron. Soon, however, it disappeared in boiling mass of foam. Both onlookers confessed that there was something uncanny about the whole thing, for they realized that there was no ordinary Dizen in the depths because, apart from its enormous size, the beast, in taking the final plunge, sent out waves that were big enough to have been caused by a passing steamer. Number 7. Arthur Grant. On January 5th, 1934, a motorcyclist, Arthur Grant, claimed to have nearly hit the creature while approaching Abriacan near the northeastern end of the loch at about 1 a.m. on a moonlit night. According to Arthur, the creature had a small head attached to a long neck. Then the creature saw him and crossed the road back to the loch. Arthur, a veterinary student, described it as a cross between a seal and a plesiosaur. He said he dismounted and followed it to the loch, but only saw ripples. He produced a sketch of the creature that was examined by zoologist Maurice Burton, who stated it was consistent with the appearance and behavior of an otter, but I'm not too sure. Regarding the long size of the creature reported by Arthur, it has been suggested that this was a faulty observation due to the poor lighting conditions, and paleontologist Darren Nash has suggested that Arthur may have seen either an otter or seal and exaggerated his sighting over time, but I don't care what they say, that drawing he drew of the beast is the Loch Ness Monster, it's not just a simple otter. Number 6. Surgeon's photograph. The surgeon's photograph is the first photo of the creature's head and neck that was taken by Robert Kenneth Wilson, a London gynecologist, and was published in the Daily Mail on April 21st, 1934. According to Dr. Wilson, he was looking at the loch when he saw the monster, grabbed his camera, and snapped 4 photos. Only 2 exposures came out clearly. The first reportedly shows a small head and back, and the second shows a similar head in a diving position. The first photo became well known, and the second attracted little publicity because of its blurriness. Now, for 60 years, the photo was considered evidence of the monster's existence, although skeptics dismissed it. The photo scale was controversial as it often showed cropped, making the creature seem large and the ripples like waves, while the uncropped shot shows the other end of the loch and the monster in the center. The ripples in the photo were found to fit the size and pattern of small ripples rather than large waves photographed up close. Analysis of the original image fostered further doubt, and in 1993 the makers of the Discovery Communications documentary Loch Ness Discovered analyzed the uncropped image and found a white object visible in every version of the photo, implying that it was on the negative. An analysis of the full photo indicated that the object was small, about 2 to 3 feet long, but I don't know though, that just sounds like a cover up to me. Number 5. Dinsdale Film. Aeronautical engineer Tim Dinsdale filmed a hump that left a wake crossing Loch Ness in 1960. Tim, who reportedly had the sighting on his final day of search, described the creature as reddish with blotches on its side. He said that when he mounted his camera, the object began to move, and he shot 40 feet of film. According to Jarek, the object was probably animate, and others were skeptical, saying that the bump cannot be ruled out as being a boat. In 1993, Discovery Communications produced the documentary, again Loch Ness Discovered, with a digital enhancement of the Dinsdale film. A person who enhanced the film noticed a shadow in the negative that was not obvious in the developed film. By enhancing and overlaying frames, he found what appeared to be a rear body of a creature underwater. Before I saw the film, I thought the Loch Ness Monster was a load of rubbish. Having done enhancement, I'm not too sure, they said. Number 4. George Edwards photograph. On August 3rd, 2012, skipper George Edwards claimed a photo he took on November 2nd, 2011 shows Nessie. George claims that he had searched for the monster for 26 years and reportedly spent 60 hours per week on the loch aboard his boat, Nessie Hunter IV, taking tourists for rides on the lake. He said, "In my opinion, it probably looks kind of like a manatee, but not a mammal. When people see 3 humps, they're probably just seeing 3 separate monsters." Other researchers have questioned the photograph's authenticity, and Loch Ness researcher Steve Feldman suggests that the object in the water is a fiberglass hump used in the National Geographic Channel documentary in which George had participated. Now, researcher Dick Rayner said George told him he had faked a photograph in 1986 that he claimed was genuine in the Nat Geo documentary. Although he admitted in October 2013 that his 2011 photo was a hoax, he insisted that the 1986 photo was genuine. Number 3. David Elder video. On August 27th, 2013, tourist David Elder presented a 5-minute video of a mysterious wave in the loch. According to David, the wave was produced by a 15-foot solid black object just under the surface of the water. Now, David from East Kilbride, South Lanarkshire, was taking a picture of a swan in the Fort Augustus Pier on the southwestern end of the loch when he captured the movement. He said the water was very still at the time and there were no ripples coming off the waves and no other activity on the water. Skeptics suggest that the wave may have been caused by a wind gust, but I'd like to think that it was Nessie. Number 2. Peter McNab. On July 29th, 1955, Peter McNab took a photograph at Urquhart Castle that depicted 2 long black humps in the water. The photograph was not made public until it appeared on Constant White's 1957 book on the subject of the Loch Ness Monster, and on October 23rd, 1958, it was published by the Weekly Scotsman. Author Ronald Binns wrote the phenomenon which McNab photographed could easily be a wave effect resulting in 3 trawlers traveling closely together up the loch. Other researchers considered the photograph a hoax, and Roy McCall requested to use the photograph in his 1976 book. He received an original negative from McNab, but discovered it was different from the photograph that appeared in White's book. The tree at the bottom left in White's was missing from the negative, and it is suspected that the photograph was doctored by rephotographing the print. And coming at number 1 is George Spicer. Interest in the monster was sparked by a sighting on July 22nd, 1933, when George Spicer and his wife saw the most extraordinary form of an animal cross the road in front of their car. They described the creature as having a large body, about 4 feet high and 20 feet long, and a long, wavy, narrow neck, slightly thicker than an elephant's trunk, and as long as the 10 to 12 foot width of the road. They saw no limbs, and it lurched across the road towards the loch 20 yards away, leaving a trail of broken undergrowth in its wake. George described it as the nearest approach to dragon, a prehistoric animal that I have ever seen in my life, and as having a long neck which moved up and down in a manner of a scenic railway. It had an animal in its mouth and a body that was fairly big with a high back, but if there were any feet it must have been the web kind, and as far as a tail I cannot say as it moved so rapidly, and when we got to the spot it had probably disappeared into the loch.
We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the tarsier. These are one of the cutest animals to ever exist. Just look at it. It looks like a cute little weird monkey, squirrel, alien thing. Like, I want one as a pet. Anyways, this interesting creature is considered a nocturnal primate, but scientists still don't know much about it. One of the reasons being is that scientists thought that they went extinct in the 1920s. But in May of 2000, while checking a rat trap that they had set up in a forest, scientists discovered that they had actually accidentally caught a tarsier. Sadly though, this little dude was dead. But still, they were like, oh shoot, these creatures are back. Then in 2008, researchers found a family of them in Lore Lindu National Park. Nowadays, it's believed that there are only 5,000 to 10,000 of these animals in the whole world. And that number is sadly falling again instead of rising. It's because these little creatures don't live too long in captivity. In fact, when they are in distress, they apparently try and take their own lives. So that's a reason why it's hard to look after these little guys and keep them off of the endangered list. In our fourth spot today, we have the golden lion tamarin. But I like to call it the golden majestic monkey. Like, look at this thing! Look at its luscious locks. It's got nicer hair than me. Anyways, this orange primate is located in Brazil's Atlantic forest. But sadly, with its habitat being destroyed, the population is at great risk. In the early 1970s, so few of them were alive in the wild that they were declared extinct. But with the help from the World Wildlife Federation, public charities, and 150 zoos, Brazil's government has been able to help these monkeys. There's now a healthy population of them being looked after by zoos all over the world. Plus, they have already breeded and reintroduced around 1,700 of these majestic guys back into the wild. It's sad, but the main threat these guys face is urbanization of the area. They're losing space to call home, and that's what's putting them at risk the most. Moving on, number 3, we have Catagonus wagneri. Now, these animals are weird because just look at them. They look like gray hairy pigs or warthogs, but without the little horns. Either way, I still find them cute. Back in the day, this creature was discovered from early fossil records. Then in 1974, a biology professor from University of Connecticut was on a National Geographic research expedition when he rediscovered these creatures. And they are no longer considered endangered or extinct. A huge population of them live in a 2,400 acre area in Gran Chaco. They hide out in the bushy, thorny areas so that they are safe from jaguars and pumas and local hunters. Another huge population resides in the Tagua Sanctuary at the CCCI Conservation Center. In our second spot today, we have the Tasmanian Devil. Not the dude from Looney Tunes, don't worry, he's still being animated and he as well. Anyways, the Tasmanian Devil used to be found all over the place, but now they are only found on the island state of Tasmania. Around 3,000 years ago, these creatures went extinct because of predation. They were being hunted by the dingo. And then they were hit by the devil facial tumor disease, which is a contagious form of cancer. This spread like wildfire and killed 90% of the population. As a result, they were declared extinct. But over the years, the creatures were reintroduced to wildlife sanctuaries and have been introduced in New South Wales and Australia. This has helped save the population. Plus, the population is thriving in Tasmania, as there are no dingoes there to hurt them. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the coelacanth. The coelacanth, which is spelled nothing like it's pronounced, I thought it would be like coelacanth, but no, I guess not. Anyways, these dudes have the most famous comeback story of all time. These fish were said to have been around when the dinosaurs were alive. That's right, that's how old these dudes are. In the 19th century, that's when scientists discovered a fossil of this fish. The fossils were said to be over 410 million years old. It's said that they went extinct around 66 million years ago. That was until 1938, when they were rediscovered off the coast of South Africa. That has to be the greatest comeback of all time. They still are critically endangered, but the fact that they managed to survive millions of years is absolutely insane.
Moving right along, number 5. What sound does a deer make? Go in the comment section and tell me. I don't know how you're gonna tell me a sound. Like, well, a cow would just be M-O-O-O-O-O. For a deer, I don't know how you type out the sound of a deer, but we're not bringing you just any deer on this list. The Kashmir musk deer has been endangered, extinct, and back to endangered again. I mean, how does this even happen? Is this real life right now? One was discovered again in 2009, and they were back on the endangered list once again, likely because these guys are targeted for hunting because of their musk glands, which are said to be an aphrodisiac and can go for a whopping $45,000 on the black market. And just like that, number 4, these 5-inch freaks are also known as 3 lobsters, and they were thought to be completely eradicated decades ago in a small island off the coast of Australia. But 24 were found in 2001, and they were sent to a zoo in Australia, which has led them to the successful breeding and repopulation of these creatures. Whoa. That's like a stick insect, right? What does that remind you of? It's like I don't know what it is, but it's just so creepy. Okay, well obviously that was the tree lobsters. You know what? It kind of looks like it has like the scales of a lobster. The tree part is like the tree stick thing that I was referring to. Yeah, you guys are seeing a picture right now of those stick insects. They're pretty cool, but I don't know what they do. I don't know much about them. From there, number 3. What the? Is that just a dog? Like this breed of dog went extinct and now it's back and now it's howling for werewolves? It's howling for its werewolf mates? Doesn't sound like a normal dog, so maybe this is like a different creature. Well, this species of dog is actually called New Guinea singing dog and hails from Papua New Guinea. They were thought to be extinct for decades until a pack was discovered in 2016. So there have only been 2 spotted in the wild, but there are some places around the world like the United States that have rescued what is believed to be this breed of dog that went extinct, and now they're in captivity to try to breed them, to expand them. They're clearly known for singing, you know, hence their name, hence the video we just watched. Alright, moving right along, number 2. So many of you guys think that Bigfoot is an urban legend. Well, I know that it's real. Okay, I never saw it, but like I've seen stuff like on TV and I think it's facts. Well, this creature that is like some kind of like half man, half ape that lives a lonely life in the wilderness, well, that video was from 2020 in Utah. It's pretty far away, so it's hard to tell, but I can tell. That's Bigfoot, confirmed. For sure Bigfoot. But if that's how big that thing looks from far away, like imagine how big it is when you're up close. Maybe like 20 feet. All I know is I wouldn't want to come across one. So this video was uploaded August 1st of this year, 2020. If it's not Bigfoot, then what is it? Let me know in the comment section below, what the heck creature did we just watch? And finally, in at number 1. Okay, so that clip is obviously from a movie. If you guys didn't know, I didn't know at first. I thought it was real. But the Megalodon is said to be a real creature, and we couldn't not put this on this list. This is a real and verified clip of what was thought to be a Megalodon underwater filmed in Japan. There are reports that the Megalodon was found a couple years ago in Mariana's Trench, hence the movie, hence the inspiration for the movie. Well, it was found in the Mariana Trench a couple years ago, and there was all the fuss around this creature from some of the well-known sources like Shark Week and obviously Hollywood movies that hyped this creature up. Considering 95% of the ocean has not yet been discovered by humans, it could be very possible that this thing is real in 2020, and there's probably so many other creatures we have no idea about.
In our number 5 spot today, we have the crest-tailed mulgara. You're trekking through the Australian desert and suddenly spotting a tiny furry face peeking out from the sands, a creature believed to have vanished nearly a century ago. That's exactly what happened when scientists rediscovered the crest-tailed mulgara in New South Wales Sturt National Park. This carnivorous but undeniably cute marsupial, weighing about 150 grams with pale blonde fur and a distinctive black crest along its thick tail, was thought extinct in the region due to predators like cats and foxes. Captured on camera during a routine survey for the Wild Deserts Project, this little survivor is sparking big excitement. Conservationists are now gearing up to remove invasive species and restore the mulgara's habitat, offering hope that these elusive animals will make a triumphant comeback. It's an amazing discovery that makes me question what secrets are still hiding in the the outback. In our number 4 spot today, we have the New Guinea singing dog. Imagine trekking through the mist-shrouded mountains of New Guinea, where the dense jungle hides secrets older than time itself. As dusk settles, a hauntingly beautiful melody floats through the air, a series of harmonic howls unlike anything you've ever heard. Your heart races. Could this be the legendary creature locals speak of in hushed tones? Indeed. It's the New Guinea singing dog, a wild canine once thought to have vanished forever. Known for their extraordinary vocalizations that resemble a chorus of yodels and eerie whale songs, these elusive dogs were believed extinct in the wild for decades. Scientists had only studied them in captivity, where their numbers dwindled and their origins remained a mystery. But hope was rekindled when, in 2016 and again in 2020, explorers and researchers captured stunning images and footage of these animals roaming freely in the remote highlands. With their fox-like appearance, amber eyes, and a bushy tail, the New Guinea singing dogs are not just any wild dogs. They're living fossils, offering a glimpse into the early chapters of canine evolution. Their reappearance has ignited excitement among scientists and conservationists, sparking new studies to understand their genetics, behavior, and how they've survived undetected for so long. In our number 3 spot today, we have the terror skink. Imagine coming face to face with a lizard so fierce it's called the terror skink, boasting fang-like teeth and a menacing glare. First documented in the 1870s on the remote islands of New Caledonia, this 20-inch long reptile was thought to have vanished forever due to habitat loss and invasive rodents. For over a century, the giant terror skink was presumed extinct until daring expeditions in the 2000s captured it on camera, alive and well on secluded islets. This thrilling rediscovery not only brings this formidable creature back into the spotlight, but also ignites hope that other lost species are out there, hidden in the world's unexplored corners, just waiting to be found. In our number 2 spot today, we have black-naped pheasant pigeons. Somewhere in the dense, rugged jungles of Papua New Guinea, scientists were searching for a bird so elusive it hadn't been seen by scientists since 1882. Just as hope began to fade, a camera trap reveals the impossible: a living black-naped pheasant pigeon. This magnificent ground-dwelling bird, once thought extinct, was captured on camera by intrepid researchers on Ferguson Island after a grueling month-long expedition filled with steep climbs, roaring rivers, and relentless insects. Thanks to invaluable guidance from local hunters who knew the bird as awo, the team rediscovered this mythical creature in the nick of time. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the La Palma giant lizard. Picture you're standing atop the sun-soaked cliffs of La Palma, one of the Canary Islands' most enchanting gems, when suddenly, out of the corner of your eye, you spot a colossal lizard basking on a rocky outcrop, a creature thought to have vanished centuries ago. This is the La Palma giant lizard, a species once known only from ancient fossils and believed to be extinct. These magnificent reptiles, some reaching astonishing sizes, have been secretly thriving in the island's remote northern cliffs, evading human detection for generations. For over 20 million years, these lizards evolved in splendid isolation on the Canary Islands, growing to giant proportions thanks to the lack of natural predators. Their reign was unchallenged until humans arrived, bringing with them cats, converting wild landscapes into farmland, and hunting these giants, leading to their dramatic decline. But now, like something out of a legend, recent sightings and photographs have unveiled these elusive creatures, capturing them on camera as they lounge under the sun. Scientists are buzzing with excitement, scrambling to confirm the lizard's survival and learn more about their secretive lifestyles. Expeditions are being planned, and conservationists are hopeful that with protection, these ancient reptiles can reclaim their rightful place place in the island's ecosystem. The thrilling rediscovery of the La Palma giant lizard is not just a scientific triumph, it is a captivating reminder that our world still harbors hidden wonders. It sparks the imagination and beckons adventurers and nature lovers to ponder what other mysteries await us in the unexplored corners of the earth. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Yushisaurus kopchikai. Earlier this year, it was announced that a stocky armored dinosaur with quote distinctive plating was found in southwestern China. This discovery was incredibly important because scientists believe that this might mark the earliest well-preserved armored dinosaur ever found in China. Armored dinosaurs are exceptionally interesting, and while there are many fossils of these kinds of creatures from the late Jurassic period up until the end of dinosaurs, there really aren't a lot from the earlier periods, which is why scientists are particularly interested in these fossils. The remains of this dinosaur show experts that it was medium-sized, covered in sharp spines, and was quite sturdy and stocky, especially in comparison to the other species it would have lived beside. In our number 4 spot today, we have the winged reptile. Back in 2017 in Scotland, sticking out from some limestone in the water was the fossil of a prehistoric creature that was just waiting to be discovered. Upon further research, it was realized that these were the remains of one of the largest flying reptiles ever found that dates back 170 million years ago. The estimated wingspan of this creature was somewhere from 2.5 to 3 meters, although the remains that were found were that of a juvenile who would have still been actively growing. The creature was named after the Gaelic words for winged reptile, and this discovery was fascinating because it changed what we knew about the timeline and history of winged reptiles. It was previously thought that these kinds of creatures didn't reach the massive size of this one until roughly 25 million years later, but this discovery of course showed us that that simply was not true. This guy is now believed to have been one of the first big flying creatures that roamed the planet. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Dragon of Death. This massive prehistoric creature has been dubbed the Dragon of Death as it once hunted prey from the sky around 86 million years ago. With its wings fully extended, this creature is said to have measured a massive 9 meters or 30 feet from one wingtip to the other. If that wasn't enough, it is also said that this species is as tall as a giraffe, so in just size alone, this creature is terrifying. While scientists believe that this creature spent most of its time on the ground, they also believe that it may have been one of the first predators to use its wings to hunt prey, as it lived and flew in a time before the evolution of birds. In our number 2 spot today, we have the apex predator. So if you're like me and have a pretty basic understanding of dinosaurs, when someone asks what one of the most terrifying dinosaurs was, I'd say a T-Rex. And while this is partially true, it is also true that for tens of millions of years, T-Rexes were tiny, and it was other gigantic creatures who were really winning when it came to the whole apex predator thing. At some point though, there was a switch where T-Rexes gained the coveted title they have today, and researchers still aren't quite sure exactly how this happened or when it happened. But they did recently discover a new species that just might help piece some things together. This new dinosaur was identified by a bone found in a 90 million year old rock in Uzbekistan, and it is a creature that is thought to have been about 30 feet long. The dinosaur, which I'm not even going to attempt to say the name of, maybe we can have it somewhere up on the screen and you'll see why, like Ulagubegasaur uzbekistanacensis, like that's my best guess, was larger than T-Rexes in the same habitat, but at some point they began to give up their habitats to T-Rexes, and right now scientists are hoping that this new discovery might just give them a little insight as to why. In our number 1 spot today, we have Australotitan cooperensis. Researchers in Australia have confirmed that they recently have found the remains of the largest dinosaur ever to live in Australia. This creature was massive, being said to measure about 80 to 100 feet long and 16 to 21 feet tall at its hip, while weighing somewhere between 25 to 81 tons. These impressive measurements land this creature a spot in the list of top 15 largest dinosaurs ever discovered. These fossilized bones were first excavated from the ground back in 2006 and 2007, but it wasn't until more recent years that these findings were announced, as it takes years of analysis to confirm these kinds of things. These creatures would have lived about 92 to 96 million years ago, at a time when Queensland was still connected to Antarctica, which has made researchers hypothesize that there might be more of these gigantic fossils beneath the earth in Antarctica as well.
The Tasmanian tiger leaps onto this list at number 5. This species is also known as a thylacine, and they were a timid and a nocturnal creature who was considered to be a major pest and a dangerous threat to livestock. They look similar to a medium or large dog, except they had a stiff tail and an abnormal pouch, kind of like a kangaroo. The government set up a bounty system between 1888 and 1909 in order to get rid of these species. So people went all over Australia killing the Tasmanian tiger, and they officially went extinct in 1936. Or did they? Since its extinction, there have been many sightings of the Tasmanian tiger in Tasmania and Australia. It has been spotted so many times that a lot of people really believe that the Tasmanian tiger still exists today. Here's a clip that was taken in 1973 proving that these animals might still be alive. Take a look at this. Marching in at number 4, the woolly mammoth. This would be amazing to see this alive today. These creatures were closely related to the Asian elephants. Woolly mammoths look a lot like them except for a couple major differences. They were covered with a thick coat of brown hair to keep them warm in the frigid weather. Even though the woolly mammoth went extinct around 10,000 years ago, we have a lot of information about them because of the permafrost in the Arctic preserved their bodies and left them in almost perfect condition. But what if I told you that these giant creatures might still be roaming the earth? There are a lot of people who have claimed that they saw a woolly mammoth in the modern times. In the late 1940s, frozen mammoths were discovered with fresh meat still in their mouths, and every once in a while there are stories all over the internet of people claiming that they've seen an elephant creature with thick fur. Take a look at this video I have for you guys. Okay, so a man filmed what appears to be a woolly mammoth in Siberia. So what do you guys think? Did a woolly mammoth go extinct 4,000 years ago, or could they still be alive today? The Beiji dolphin comes onto our list at number 3. The Beiji dolphin, or the Chinese river dolphin, is the first dolphin to be declared extinct in modern times. This is just incredibly sad. It is the first large mammal species in 50 years to have gone extinct, and it was solely due to mankind. This animal was declared extinct in December 2006 due to harmful fishing practices such as the use of gill nets, rolling hooks, or electrical stunning. There were efforts put in place to save this species, but none of them apparently worked. But even though they are thought to be extinct, a Beiji was spotted in 2007 by a team of researchers. Unfortunately, there was only that one sighting since the extinction, but it's still possible that these dolphins might still be alive today. Stepping into this list at number 2, we have the mysterious Bigfoot, otherwise known as the Gigantopithecus. Their fossils indicate that they were the largest known primates that ever lived. They stood at a height of 3 meters or about 9.8 feet, and they weighed as much as 540 to 600 kilograms, which is about 1,320 pounds. I mean, damn. Now, these are one creatures I don't know if I want to be alive today because they're pretty terrifying. However, scientists almost knows nothing about this mysterious ape. The first piece of evidence that this ape existed, it was discovered by a German paleontologist who found a large molar. Okay, so get this, it was dubbed as a dragon tooth. For years, this was the only trace of this ape, but since then, researchers have found dozens of teeth and a few partial jaws of the Gigantopithecus. It is believed that this giant creature went extinct because the forest shrank and they weren't able to find enough food to survive and reproduce. But some people believe that the Gigantopithecus survived and evolved into Bigfoot. The two creatures look very similar, and there have been many people reporting that they have seen this mysterious creature. Okay, so topping this list, in at number 1, we have the mighty Megalodon. This species of shark was the largest to have ever lived. Paleontologists believe that the Megalodon was capable of growing up to at least 52 feet, which is 3 times as long as the longest great white shark ever. No one knows for sure what the Megalodon looked like because all that remains from the prehistoric monster are some teeth and a few vertebrae, but paleontologists are able to make a very educated guess. Originally, the Megalodon was believed to be wiped out by global warming. However, there have been many sightings all over the world by fishermen and sailors who have claimed to see this large shark. That could couldn't be the great white shark because it was way too big. There was also a fossil of the megalodon tooth found deep in the ocean, which means that they still might be living in the deep sea and occasionally they come up to the surface. I mean, after all, there's still 95% of the world's ocean that still hasn't been explored, which is insane to me. All I know for sure is that I would never want to have an encounter with these beasts. Imagine surfing and then bam, the megalodon is right there behind you. Yeah, your lunch. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and it is time to share with you guys some bloopers because there was some pretty difficult words for me in this video, but hopefully you guys enjoy.
Paleontologist.
Paleontologist?
Yeah.
Paleontologist. Paleontologist. The first piece of evidence that this ape existed was discovered by a German I got no chance of that. Gigantopithecus. But some people believe that the it changes every time. Gigantopithecus. But some people believe that the Gigantopithecus. Oh my god. But people believe that the holy
Want to see more videos like this one? Check out this video next. It's about strange anomalies that were found in the Amazon rainforest. We have delved deep into the mysteries of the jungle to see what we could find, and the answers might shock you. What are you waiting for? Click the video now to find out more.